Welcome to the 108th debate of the 2016 presidential election cycle. I'm your moderator, Caleb Paul. Thank you all for joining us. Now, due to budget cuts, and because there would be nothing more hilarious than having Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders in the same room, we've decided to have the Democratic and Republican candidates in the same debate. So, without further ado, let's meet the candidates. First off, we have former Virginia Governor Jim Gilmore. Oh no, wait, they're telling me there's no such person. Okay. Next, we have retired neurosurgeon Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Ben Carson. Please welcome Dr. Ben Carson. Businessman Donald Trump. Ohio Governor John Kasich. Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. And last and most assuredly least, we have former Secretary of State and 25th time presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton. Politicians. You can't live with them? Yeah. While here in NCFCA debate, we're supposed to support our assertions with logic and evidence, politicians say whatever they want to get your vote, and no one even seems to care. And this Pander Express just keeps rolling and rolling. Kind of like when a circus comes to town. You know, we laugh and eat cotton candy, and cry, because the White House isn't supposed to be peopled by performers. So, let my performance serve as a reminder of just how important it is to pray for our country. Disclaimer. The opinions expressed in this speech do not necessarily represent the views of myself or of the candidates depicted. Additionally, the impressions done in this speech are not necessarily meant to offend anyone in the audience or the judges who may like the particular candidates depicted. After all, I, like these politicians, need your vote. 2016, I Caleb Paul. Let's start off with a question for Dr. Carson. Dr. Carson, many have criticized you, saying that you're quote-unquote low energy. Is this a valid concern?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for including me in the debate so early. It feels like I haven't gotten a question this whole time so far. But as far as being low energy, I would say that
Mr. Trump, many say that Ted Cruz is your largest Republican rival. What are your thoughts on Senator Cruz?
Ted Cruz is an awful guy. He's a nasty guy. Believe me, nobody likes Ted Cruz. He probably ate lunch all by himself as a kid. He's the worst.
Senator Cruz, your response? Well, my friend Donald talks a big game and says, oh, nobody likes Cruz, but he only seems to have a problem with me after I passed him in the polls. You see, Donald would know that I cried eating lunch by myself as a kid because he was exactly the type of bully who made me do it. Now the tables are turned, and I'm not going to let your kids be bullied like I was by Russia and China. Governor Kasich, do you have plans for dealing with ISIS?
Well, that's a great question, Caleb, because we just don't have enough money to fund a fight against ISIS. As governor of Ohio, we balanced our budget, and we had enough money to fund the things we needed, and so we fought, and we beat ISIS in Ohio. And if I'm elected, we'll have an ISIS-beating budget in Washington.
Mr. Trump, do you agree?
Look, if I'm elected, we won't have any problem getting money, okay? But balancing the budget to stop ISIS, that is so stupid. Believe me, that's stupid. These Muslims, right? Muslims. They're all terrorists. I'm not prejudiced. I love the Middle Easterners, but we have to get them out of our country.
Ms. Clinton, your response? Well, my campaign manager said Donald might win the Republican nomination and I might need a head start, so I think it's important that we run on our records of what we've actually done in office. As Secretary of State, I got things done. Donald just doesn't have the experience he needs to be president. On that note, Ms. Clinton, many say that your argument that we should run on our records is a little bit hypocritical, considering your lack of response to your email scandal and the scandal over Benghazi. What do you have to say about that? Well, it's like I've always said. There's no reason we should run on our records of what we've actually done. We should be talking about our plans for the future, technicalities like whether we've broken the law. Who even cares? Breaking news. Ted Cruz poll numbers dropping drastically. As we've just heard, Ted Cruz is now struggling in the polls. Mr. Trump, what do you have to say about that?
Well, it's unfortunate. It's like I've always said. I love Ted Cruz. He's a good guy, a great guy, but the people have spoken. They love me, so.
Governor Christie, do you have plans for dealing with issues like Ebola when they arise?
Well, that's a great question, Caleb, because the American people need someone who's prepared to take care of them. Senators like Marco over there never had to go and be a nurse for an Ebola patient. But as governor, I had to do that exact thing. I learned how to make sacrifices for people. Heck, I even went 5 whole minutes without eating one. So when a situation arises, you need me in the Oval Office because I will cure the virus with my intensity. And in the words of Jeb Bush, please clap.
Senator Rubio, your response? Well, I think it's interesting to think that I wouldn't be prepared. I think we need to recognize that if we want someone who's prepared to lead this country, I'm your guy. I have a plan to fix our economy through vocational training, and I have demonstrated my preparedness tremendously during my State of the Union response by having a glass of water so close by. So if you want someone who's prepared to make America better than it ever has been before, I encourage you to join our movement at marcorubio.com.
No, you're both wrong. It isn't fair, it just isn't fair that less than 1% of Americans got Ebola. Make sure that everybody gets Ebola. We can't let the rich stay rich and the healthy stay healthy. Poor and sick, that's the way to be.
Thank you, Senator Sanders.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, we've just heard from his campaign manager that Jim Gilmore, who was apparently running for president, has dropped. I'm sure his supporter will miss him. Now, Mr. Trump, many say that your plan to build a wall on the Mexican border and have the Mexicans pay for it is a little bit unrealistic. What do you have to say about that?
Look, it's not a question of if we need a wall. It's a question of how giant the wall should be. It's gonna make The problem is Mexicans, right? Mexicans. They're all criminals. I love the Mexicans. I've never met a Mexican. I've heard they're great. But they're all criminals. They use so we have to get them out of our country.
Ms. Clinton, your response? Well, my campaign manager said I need to be more relatable to young people and to pull in the Mexican vote. So, yo, Mexicans, TBH, IDK about this Trump guy. He seems like a total meanie. But I get you. I even ate a Taco Bell the other day. It was totally rad.
Hey everybody, listen to this joke. What did the politician say to the voters? Whatever the banks told her to. Get it? No? Well, anyway, vote for me, Bernie Sanders. I'm like your parents' credit card, only running for president.
Our last question of the night goes to Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, you have said that you will make America great again, but do you have a particular plan to do so?
We don't win anymore, okay? We lose literally everything. I was really excited when they said we won the World Cup. Turns out it was just the Women's World Cup. What is that about? Why do we have a Women's World Cup? So of course, unlike little Marco or whoever, I have a plan we're going to win.
Senator Rubio, your response? Well, I think it's interesting to think that I wouldn't be prepared. I think we need to recognize that if we want someone who's prepared to lead this country, I'm your guy. I have a plan to fix our economy through vocational training, and I have demonstrated my preparedness tremendously during my State of the Union response by having a glass of water. So if you want someone who's prepared to make America better than it ever has been before, I encourage you to join on at Marco Rubio. Well, that concludes our debate. Thank you all for watching this depressing illustration on the state of our country. And we'll see the half of you who actually vote in November.